7. No, we are not waiting for the next. Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy and Philip J. Urso Jr. here. So excited to have him back in the hot seat. Just when you thought it was safe from our weekly reviews of X-Men 97. No, we are not waiting for the next season to come back, although we will be back. But in order to entertain you and entertain ourselves until then, we are going to be revisiting some of our favorite classic X-Men comics, most notably from the Chris Claremont run, because I mean, in our opinion, is there really much anything else?
There is no other run. No.
They, amen to that. So we were definitely going to get into it. We're going to be talking about the infamous Bill Sienkiewicz Dracula issues. My dog is going to be barking throughout this whole episode in case you heard him just now. Hopefully it doesn't ruin the broadcast, but he's agitated. The neighbor keeps coming in and out. I don't know what her problem is, but hey, that's life in the big Zoom podcast world. So anyway, we're going to be doing the Bill Sienkiewicz Dracula issues, Uncanny X-Men number 159 and Annual 6, respectively. Now, interestingly enough, this is pretty much around the time I'm coming into the X-Men, and because I started with 164 and you started with 165? Six. Okay. So I found Annual 6 like as a back issue and read it first and then had to find 159 and like
exactly same thing with me. I got Annual 6 sometime after Annual 7 had come out, but before Annual 8 had come out. So it wasn't like incredibly old, but it was not new on the stands.
And if you're anything like me, I feel like, a lot of the way comics are done these days, they keep restarting series with the number ones. One reason is because it's a cash grab. They feel like it's a collector's item. They're going to get more money from a number one issue. Another reason is they feel that comics are so glutted by continuity that people are going to be confused and it's easier to attract more readers with a number one issue. And if you're like me, I could have cared less. Like, I thought it was a thrill that I had like all these back issues to go find and all this stuff to discover. And like, I felt like I had this new magical power of like figuring out this new universe that was introduced to me. And I was like, thought it was so cool that it had this history that I could uncover. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, and like you, because we read 6 first, we were like jonesing to read 159. But I believe my first, when I was introduced to the fact that the X-Men even faced Dracula, was I read 160, which was Illyana's abduction into limbo. And they mentioned that it's just barely been a day since we fought Dracula, and Storm's afraid to go to sleep in that issue because she's afraid she's going to awaken as a vampire. So that was my first, like, okay, now I've got to read this issue, but it wasn't available in my comic book store right away where I got back issues. So I got Annual 6 first, read that, and then I finally was able to get 159. And then my life was complete when it came to Stormy and Dracula.
I really am going to pat myself on the back because I'm able to do this without even looking at the credit box. But it's written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Bill Sienkiewicz, inked by Bob Wiacek, lettered by Tom Orzechowski, and colored by Glynis Wein, who was Wein at the time, and edited by Louise Jones. So this is like primo X-Men era right here. I mean, we are firing on all cylinders. I have to say, like, I don't want to out you, but Philip is not a fan of the evolution of Bill Sienkiewicz's art. He is more a fan of this era and loves these issues. So I'm happy that we're able to talk about it freely. But it should be noted that this is an era where Bill Sienkiewicz is self-admittedly a Neil Adams clone. This is how he like broke into the industry. He wanted to be the next Neil Adams. And then he just realized that, he needed to be his own artist and branched out in the freaky way on Moon Knight. But the point I was trying to get to is that while the interiors are gorgeous and very much follow the Neil Adams sort of aesthetic, I feel like on the covers he's starting to show a little bit of his Bill Sienkiewicz, right? Like it looks a little more artistic and sort of a little more collagey, especially like that striking cover to Annual Six. Do I have it here?
If you don't, I
Let's
can
see.
pull it up.
Oh, I actually do have it here.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Um, okay, there it is. You can see that. I mean, it's so
It's a
gorgeous.
great
Just look
cover.
at it.
I
I,
love his covers. His covers are like paintings.
they are. They are. It's like stunning. Well, I mean, he eventually did start painting. Oh my God, this is so funny because now I don't know how to like exit the screen.
Maybe when you hit view options, you're... Well, we can just
Let's.
keep that on the screen for now until you share the next photo.
Oh, sounds good. Okay, so
So I'm
this
getting
is.
ready to defend myself in just a second.
Oh, okay. Well, this is what we're seeing first, and like this blew my mind. I mean, first of all, Storm looks absolutely gorgeous, and I kind of always love when, as much I love Storm's costume, but I love when she can look really great in other forms, especially in like keep her headdress like that. I think that looks so cool.
Hmm.
Like I Kitty Pryde was one of my favorites, so this was very disturbing to me to see this, you know what I mean? Like I didn't realize this was possible for the X-Men. And hearing you talk about then, Eliana going to Limbo and Belasco and stuff, it's like God, the X-Men must have seemed a little bit like a horror comic to us at the time.
Hmm. And then they went into space and got impregnated by, aliens.
The Brood,
The
yeah.
Brood, so
Yeah,
there was
it's true. So there was a lot of like horror and
where they were going to be taken over, transformed, and it was just, yeah. But so these two issues, what I think is so great about them is I agree and slightly disagree with you. I don't think he's entirely in his Neil Adams phase here. I think he is in his crossover phase where he's still got some of his classical aspects of Neil Adams, but he's starting to dip into his darker tones that he did in Moon Knight. So he's kind of in that, kind of like in Wolfsbane's transitional state where she combined the best aspects of being human and being a wolf into one form, and she could do everything both could do, basically.
yeah,
That's what I consider this phase of his art, because it combines his classical approach with the dark, moody, edgy stuff he does. But in my opinion, this is more finished. It's more inked. It's complete and it's beautiful.
my God, I just gained like so much new respect for you because I thought you were just always trying to be a brat when it came to art. And that sounded like a really sound, amazing opinion. So I thank you for that.
Okay. Now I'm just going to sleep soundly tonight.
A
But
little better anyway, I'm sure.
anyway, but well, so let's just go into the story because, the story is awesome. And it's just something the X-Men didn't really... Was this pretty much when the X-Men started dipping into the supernatural? I
I feel,
mean,
I guess so. And can you now see the cover? Okay, so this is the story that started it all. I mean, this is kind of crazy. And I do love this cover. I mean, it looks pretty horrific. Like Kitty's reaction is awesome. I loved like the storm in the background. She looks pretty gorgeous. And I
mhm.
love this. I love a good silhouette and just like it looks so kind of amazing there with the way it's done. Just yeah, but to me it was bizarre. Like I was kind of freaked out in a lot of ways because I just thought like I don't know. I mean, she literally gets turned into a vampire.
Yeah, but they go with the whole she didn't really finish her transformation because and Kitty like is wildly knowledgeable of vampires more than the rest of the X-Men except for Nightcrawler because he's from Bavaria and apparently, they know their stuff about the undead in Bavaria. But she like knows about 3 days after you die. She knows about the religious artifacts aversion, the sunlight, the crosses. I mean, okay, so she's 13. She watched a lot of Dracula movies. Totally get it. She had to have, or did Dracula movies even exist in the X-Men universe, in the Marvel universe? Because Dracula's real, to them. He's not a movie character. He's a real life threat. Um, and maybe somebody who comments on this will tell us, oh yeah, it comes up later that, They mentioned that this movie and this issue of that, and maybe I'll be able to pull that out of my head later because they do have pop culture references in X-Men comics constantly, like Magnum PI all throughout New Mutants.
Oh yeah, I know you just give me a huge flashback. Okay, so look at this gorgeous splash page of the first issue,
Hmm.
159.
I
The
love
X
when they draw Kitty phasing like that, where you see kind of like waves and stuff.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I absolutely noticed that and I absolutely wanted to talk about that because I thought it was such an interesting way to add motion to a stagnant picture. And in a way, it's kind of like cheating because she's not phasing the wall, she's phasing herself. So the wall
Hmm.
arguably shouldn't be affected like that. But I think it just looks so cool. It's so like she's melting through it. And I just love
Hmm.
that. And I just love how big Peter looks in the door with his big hand on the door and just the way they're kind of bursting in. And we have Harmony Young, Misty Knight's fashion model roommate, in this
Her new
gorgeous,
Jean Grey.
her new Jean Grey. And and you would be the one to know, but this has got to be the only time we've seen Harmony Young. Have we probably never saw her again after this
I don't
story.
know. I mean, she definitely doesn't appear in X-Men again after that. I mean, not during, any of the, where I stopped dropping off was somewhere around Onslaught is where my attention span kind of went away.
And
Um
this goes to show how much drugs models in the 80s did, that she's not even phased by the fact that these people.
but the part I find interesting is, on that preview, why didn't the X-Men just knock on our door? Why did they have to barge in?
Well, I not to, yeah, like she's like, they're like, we haven't talked to her in months. Like, why would they assume that she wasn't home? Yeah, exactly. Or
And Kurt's teleporting in, Kitty's phasing. What if the woman was in a towel or coming out of the shower?
right. Amen. I don't know. I mean, aside from the fact that it adds a lot of drama to
It does add
the,
a lot of drama, and it is a great splash page, and
it
it's
is a
comics, so
great
you
splash
gotta
page.
willing suspension of disbelief. But apparently, the only one with manners was Storm, but she did let them charge in there. So anyway,
All
moving
of
on.
that. And she's all, but I love this too. Like, but I don't know, like, this immediately took me back. And you cannot tell me, like, there were just some lines in here that are just forever burned into my brain. And let's see, I don't know. It was just so much fun. I love that she like dressed Storm and Kitty up and
Oh, I love that. Yeah, where she's like, it's like playing with dolls. It's better than playing with dolls, and how apparently Kitty brought all of her own clothing, but she wants to wear everything in Harmony's closet.
and then she chose that hideous green plaid skirt, but whatever, that's fine.
Whatever, but Storm looked good.
Yeah, I know exactly. As she should. But then I thought, like that was probably smart of Bill Sienkiewicz. Like, did he want to tart her up? Probably not. So
But
I
here's a
thought that,
question I have about the Kitty sequence once we get past the Cyclops subplot.
oh, okay. I know, like, this is why I love the fact that Chris Claremont wrote the X-Men for 17 years, because we have this Dracula story going on, but it's so much fun to have the side stories of, like what Cyclops is up to now. And I see a lot of the Neil Adams influence in this
Hmm.
pages here, and I think it's a lot of fun storytelling. I love how we drop in and Corsair in his ridiculous outfit, just sitting at the kitchen table while Polaris cooks. And I love see this. I've said this in my other reviews about the X-Men. This is like why we love Chris Claremont, is because he knows how to write a good, entertaining comic book superhero story. When you introduce a new character to a story, you show them using their powers. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
we get to know who they are. And Polaris doing something as mundane as cooking, but she's still levitating the pots and pans. I just love that, and ate shit like that up when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
And I oddly found Corsair to be the best looking of the Summers clan.
Oh, there's nothing odd about it. We have clearly established your type by now. I'm sorry, did I X out of that page too quick? I think I did.
Yes.
Where did we go? Where is it?
We
Oh,
were
there
on
we.
Polaris was levitating the dinner.
When isn't Polaris levitating? But I just love. I mean, the Summers brothers look so handsome, and I always resented the introduction of the third Summers brother. I always thought that was
I
so
did
weird.
too.
Like, oh,
It
so
was implied
dumb.
for the longest time it was going to be Gambit, and then they steered away from that. Um,
which would have been so hot if it were
It would have
Gambit.
been because, you know, we were invested. I mean, a lot of people think Gambit is what, a 90s ploy or plot device. And you know, he really did kind of not his popularity waned. I mean, he was hot in the 90s, but then after that, you know, which is why he never got that movie, but you know,
Oh
but
well,
I was okay with him. You know, I was entertained by him. I used to like when he would beat Wolverine in their little danger room bouts, you know.
I loved him. I loved him. Who's your favorite Gambit artist? I have to. I'm gonna give it to Jim Lee,
I'm going
probably.
to give it to Jim Lee, but I thought his replacement on X-Men, what was it? Kubert?
Hubert, yeah.
I thought he was really good.
Andy Kubert, yeah, he was really good.
Um, I there were some people around the time of
I like Joe Madureira, but I don't even know
Legion
how you.
Quest. Joe Madureira, I go back and forth with. It depends on who's inking him.
True.
But there were some artists during Legion Quest I liked that had a Jim Lee aesthetic about them. You know, Silvestri, I thought did a good job with him in the few issues he did with him, you know. So, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. But yeah, I think, you know, he pretty much was he created by Lee?
Oddly, I reviewed not too long ago the facsimile edition of his first appearance, and it is a
His real
train
first
wreck. Like,
appearance or his marketed first appearance?
I think his marketed, the one with
There we
Lil
go.
Rowe on the cover, yeah.
Well, with Lil, yeah, because it's not his first appearance.
And that,
I will fight that battle with all the other people who are right.
but that kind of just goes to show that they kind of didn't realize like what an impact he would have, because it's really a terrible kind of issue
Yeah,
almost. Like there's like fill-in art that's not great, and like I
yeah.
don't know,
Because
Will
technically,
Rowe
if you go
isn't
by
really
his
work.
first real appearance, it was Art Adams who drew it because it came out first.
Which one did Art Adams draw?
Uncanny Artist, I mean, X-Men Annual, Days of Future Present, Annual 16, was it?
Interesting. So Gambit's in there, but and then they sort of retroactively introduced him, probably because of
They came out like 3 weeks apart, but I get, like I said, it was a timing thing. But what
hmm.
hit newsstands first? You can say chronological first appearance all you want. Yes, 266 is, but you know, we also have a lot of first appearance. You know, Giant Size X-Men #1 is the first appearance of how many of the new X-Men? But years later, we have chronological first appearances in flashback tales and classic X-Men.
Right. I don't know.
If you
Yeah.
go down the Phoenix storyline, how many first appearances has Phoenix had?
It gets very confusing. And before I forget, one of the things I saw, because I always like look through the previews of upcoming comic book sales that are coming up, and I am living for the facsimiles now, and they are doing Uncanny X-Men 131. You know, the I think that's the one with the great Emma Frost cover by Byrne, where
Oh, that is a good cover. Now, yeah, because they've already done 129, I believe, and 130, which I think I have. So they need to wrap up that first trilogy of the 9-part Dark Phoenix saga.
right, I feel it might be 132 coming soon after that as well. So be on the lookout for that.
Because
What,
I got all the Secret Wars facsimiles, and I've got half of the Crises.
yeah, I don't think Crisis is completely out yet, but
I
yeah, I
think they're up
have
to like 8.
no, actually nine. I have up to nine.
Do you?
Um,
Okay. I'm
did
behind.
did you get the Secret Wars facsimile? Did you say?
Hmm.
Yeah, me too. I love them. They're amazing, gorgeous, so much
Yeah.
fun,
Love seeing the ads is just so much fun because it brings you back.
isn't it? I know, especially the ads for like the toys. I don't know why it just makes me, yeah,
Well,
super nostalgic. Nothing was better than the '80s. We all know.
no, the
So
80s was definitely, and the late 70s is kind of, I kind of mix those together as far as
true
like,
that I will take the '70s and the '80s
yeah.
together. You know for sure.
But
I'm
let's get back to blood
I
sucking
know.
X-Men.
Okay, exactly. It's easy to get off topic. But you know, it's not like we have all day here. Let's see.
I think our team name should be X Tangents.
I know, right? For sure. No, I guess I always thought that like I feel like Bill Sienkiewicz is using a lot of reference, and like this nurse, like tell me this nurse doesn't look like somebody like at the
You mean the
hospital.
Doctor?
The doctor, yeah. Sorry,
Hmm.
my bad. I shouldn't assume a woman is a nurse. How 1980s of me. Um, so,
Well,
but
we were
I,
just visiting the 80s in our heads.
but I don't know. It's so Storm basically. Okay, so the reason they broke into Kitty's to Misty
Oh,
Knight's
can you go back
apartment.
a page?
Of course. Look at me just whipping through
Because I
this.
think we missed one after the summer's family reunion thing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I thought we were gonna do like, yeah, this is actually a really good page. I love this page so much just because the bottom panel is so beautifully drawn.
Exactly. This is a killer page, and I knew you'd want to talk about it,
No,
but
no pun intended.
right. Well, my thing about though, it's like see where Kitty is. It looks like she's where? In a bedroom?
Yes.
So where is Kitty?
Kitty is visiting her parents. Okay, so
Her parents live in Chicago.
correct. So
They're in
they're
New
in New
York.
York. Oh yeah.
So
So
that's just what, a very
maybe
homely
her
hotel room?
it's at the yeah. Maybe her I know. Well, interesting, right? Yeah. What uh, is this a no prize perhaps we're
Yeah, they
uncovering here?
never, they say, You're here to see your parents," not your parents happen to be in NYC and maybe they're visiting her grandparents. There's no real explanation of, because like I said, that just looks like she's in somebody's house, not that she's in a hotel room.
Right. So I feel like Claremont got confused and like uh yeah, like she could be a model in Chicago. Did we but we've
We know
decided
it's
that
New York because that's where Harmony lived with Jean Grey.
yeah, because she said you're a model, a New York model, and blah 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 blah
Hmm.
blah. All right.
And
Well,
it's brought up in Uncanny X-Men Annual #6, where Wolverine says to Dracula, spoiler, at the end of this podcast, "I've been looking forward to a rematch since our fracas in Central Park."
all right. So, but did you say that Jean Grey was roommates with Harmony Young?
With Misty Knight,
Oh,
sorry.
thank God. I was like, okay. I was like, God.
Yes, because Harmony was, like I said, the replacement Jean Grey
Oh, right.
as Misty's roomie.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a flub because clearly that's supposed to be like Kitty's room at her parents' house or something.
Correct.
Um,
But that bottom panel is stunning.
that bottom panel is stunning. And I remember like being shook by it when I first read it because I like had such a love and affection for Storm. So I was just like, no, oh my God. Like this is I feel like this is before multiple resurrections and before they had a
Mm-hmm.
resurrection machine on Krakola and they could do whatever the hell they want, you know. So I was just like disturbed and it's so beautifully drawn. She still looks gorgeous. And
Mm-hmm.
we have to give it up for the colorist there for adding like some real drama to that panel.
That is the problem with comic art and our appreciation. We always go with the writing, we go with the artist, but we don't praise the inkers, the colorists, the finishers like we should.
I always do in my reviews.
You do, but I'm just saying, but
But yeah,
society as a
well,
whole.
no, right. And but arguably some of those things, like I say, like good coloring, good lettering should almost be invisible. Like if it's funny because you're more noticed like bad lettering because it stands out more, if that makes sense. Um,
I mean, I only know two colorists or finishers personally, like by name, and that's what Terry Austin and Romeo Tangal. Those are the finishers I have set in my head.
uh
But anyway,
so
yes,
I but
good shot.
I love this page in the hospital. It's so funny. No, it's weird because did you feel like Storm was a little schizophrenic here? Because she's like, why am I drawn to the night? And then she's scared of the night at the same time. And like,
Hmm.
so she's being enthralled by Dracula. And I just thought it was so like effective.
The next page is really cool.
Mhm. Oh my God, I love this page. This is so beautifully drawn. That bottom panel on the left, like
Exactly. The whole bottom is amazing.
it is amazing. I just love like, and that's what makes me think like just she just looks so striking in the way she's wrapped in the sheet. And like the way the words go against it, it was kind of hot. Like I thought, oh, this
Hmm.
is like sexy in a way. And I actually in the middle, the range of middle panels, like the third panel in where she's like kind of biting her lip, that always like stood out to me. Like I just feel like there's lots of great like emotion and stuff on her face. And I thought that they did a great job of kind of portraying what she was going through between writer and artist.
Yep. And the appearance of Dracula on the next page is an awesome, whatever you want to call it, just a splash page. He Bill does an amazing Dracula. I mean, he was born to draw Dracula.
Wait a second. Did I skip a page? This is what I have for the next page. Is that not the next page?
No, it is not. I will pull it up. May not look as good because there might be some glare because we're going to be doing screen on screen action here, but
but it's not this one, is it?
this one?
Oh, it is this one. I got it.
Yeah, that one. He does
okay.
He does a stunning Dracula.
Stunning Dracula, and also kind of
Hot.
in your I was gonna say in your type. I also, once again, to the colorist, I really liked like the way that Storm's skin is colored here, and I love the way that like her lips are colored.
Well, you notice how her skin is almost a shade lighter because they're supposed to be showing she's dying.
Yeah, like I know that's like how a colorist can tell a story, and just like the way the moon is kind of blue in the background through the window, and the way she's letting in the steam or the fog or whatever. The steam. Dracula would be steam, wouldn't he? He is steamy. Yeah, but and I also love the panel around his teeth and her neck. Like, I mean, it's pretty.
This is good stuff. This is like I said. This is Bill's finest work ever to me. Is his Dracula? His.
Well, I talk about I talk about the things like the effective tools or the comic tropes that exist in comics that are part of the reason we love comic books so much, and that's a perfect example. That's such a great way just to pull focus and to help tell the story, and it's just a really beautifully drawn page. Yeah, it must have killed you when he went off the deep end.
Well, like I said, he made choices that were selling. They were popular choices to make. They weren't my taste, but it doesn't mean I always knew he had talent. I just didn't care for the choices that were being made as time went by.
Oh, I'm wondering if I can share more than one.
It became more unfinished looking, and like I said, edgier, unfinished art became a thing later on in certain books.
Oh, okay. Oh, I can do it like this. Okay, I'm just figuring all this out. So does this page make sense? I don't know where I got this page from, but I do love this
That
page.
is before Dracula shows up.
Oh, okay. But I love like this picture of Storm at the bottom. It's like it's like Exorcist kind of.
Yep, right after the sunlight comes pouring on her face.
And this page is good too, like when she burns her finger, like or burns her hand on her Star of David or whatever.
Yep. And Kitty says in the top panel how she looks so old and pale like her dying grandmother. Oh, and there's a cool picture, the one you just went, that one where Kitty tries to use the cross on Dracula and she realizes it won't work because she's not Christian.
Oh yeah, like that was such a great reveal for me. And yeah, because also like because then it played into Wolverine and he's like I told her if you're not a believer. So that was like
I mean, at least she stood a chance with her Star of David. Wolverine had no chance.
Yeah, right. He's like,
he didn't believe in anything.
You heathen. You non-believing atheist Wolverine.
I'm guessing Colossus was a Christian of sorts.
I was gonna say Colossus seems like he would be religious for sure.
Like maybe Orthodox or something.
There's a couple of great pages.
I mean, we knew Nightcrawler was, and he eventually became a priest. Oh, yeah. that blood, that middle panel of Storm plus the bottom right, gorgeous, stunning, love it all.
Wait, which one? Oh, this one. Yeah. Oh my God. Like I love the screen on her face and just like that is so cool. I know. And the black like silhouette.
And more Kitty waves, more Kitty phase waves. Love them.
I know, especially this one where she's sort of like, because it looks, I don't know, it's just like such a great, like almost like she's climbing in a way, It's so cool. I just love it.
Of interesting note, that's like supposed to be a weather station. And Dracula has not only taken shop in it, he has transformed it into making it look like a Gothic castle.
Well, I know. I don't even know. Okay. I feel bad that I don't have all the pictures from issue 6 or from annual 6, but I don't understand what happened here. Okay, maybe this is what happened. But oh yeah, this is what happened, right? So when Kitty is like, I'm not gonna put the stake through your heart. If you want my life, you can take it. I won't stop you. And
And then
then
she's basically appealing to her, love for her as her daughter
right, and it
type
worked
figure.
because
And it
like
worked.
Storm was like, Dracula, you fine, but this ain't gonna work. Kapow, and then she like lowers the boom and electrocutes him, right?
Yep.
She's
And then, she chases him. They have their final confrontation in this like rooftop restaurant in Times Square, I think. And
why not, right?
yeah, and then she fashions a steak out of a table or chair, and he grabs a red shirt patron
I
and says, "Drop the steak or I'll rip this cow's throat out," and Storm surrenders and blah blah blah. But she tells him he can fight her, he can kill her, he can do this, but he will never own her. She was born free, and she shall remain. And he apparently claims he will release his hold on her and live out her life and blah 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 blah, and leaves. But we knew that wasn't going to be the end of it.
no. It's funny because in doing my research for this, was there a third? Like, was there a follow-up after the annual?
No, I think there's some like big time Dracula storyline in another book where they get together to destroy all vampires, including his daughter Lilith. But it's not the X-Men. It's a Marvel book, but I don't know. It might have been one of those horror comic things, or I don't know if it's Werewolf by Night or something like that. But Dracula is killed later. But when is Dracula ever always dead? Maybe it was Doctor Strange. It could have been a Doctor Strange, you know, saga within a saga. Because that sounds like it could have taken place in a Doctor Strange story.
Yeah. Um, so oh yeah, in Bloodstorm. I mean, I know it, but I always
That's
kind
an
of like
alternate universe.
I know, but I kind of like that they did that. That was fun and it was
Mm-hmm.
cool design.
And
So
it's a cool name.
it's kind of weird though that like I don't know to enter like Dracula and mutants. It's kind of weird, but there was like a lot of great stuff. Like in this issue that we were talking about, like the fact that um like she's like, wow, the blood sample we took is really fascinating. There's a lot going on in this blood. I'd love to keep her here and study her basically. And they're like, she doesn't want them to find out she's a mutant or who she is. But I'm sorry, how can Storm possibly have a secret identity? Like, if you know who Storm from the X-Men is, like, there's no way, and nobody else looks like her, right?
It's like Starfire from New Teen Titans when she was a model and she was supposed to have a secret identity. Oh, because she wore sunglasses.
Oh my God, that's so
But the
funny.
woman
It's
is
such
6'4" with hair that makes her 7'3".
That's what I also
Starfire, still talking about Starfire.
I also liked when Harmony talked about how she liked the color and texture of Aurora's hair because it
Mm-hmm.
made me think about her hair in a different way.
Well, and
Um,
that comes up a few times about how awesome Aurora's hair is.
yeah,
And it is.
it is awesome. I know. Yeah, it totally is. That's why I'll never forgive Halle Berry for that god awful wig. But I don't
The
know
wig
who
in the
was.
first one was awful. It was slightly better in this. I actually liked it when they just cut it in the third one because at least it didn't look like, a Party Central wig.
I think you mean Party City, but
Whatever.
no. But it's just effective. But I love it either way. Um, yeah, no, they really, yeah, no, they need like the perfect storm here. No pun intended. And
Hmm.
I have yet to see it.
Yeah.
So, but
Iman would have been the perfect storm.
so basically, love is what won the day in
Of course.
159 of the X-Men, as it should. But see, then I wondered, okay, so you made reference to the fact that in the following issue, they were afraid that she was going to wake up a vampire. So,
She was.
oh, okay. So, annual six is you know, reading this, I as much as I love it, it almost felt like what's the point? Like I almost felt like they just had so much fun doing the 159 that they just decided to do it over again and cite an annual. Like there's not, am I wrong?
No, well, the problem with this annual is not that it's not a great read and fun, it's its placement. Because, the Brood story they knew was going to take up a lot of time. The X-Men were in outer space for 6 issues, 7 issues, and apparently at least a month or two went by because the New Mutants were formed at that time. And the mansion is rebuilt by Shi'ar robots and stuff. But by looking at the Marvel checklist, which I used to love because you could see what other comics came out at the same time, this annual came out at the same time as Uncanny 163 did, which was only 2 issues deep into the Brood storyline. So they had to write it as though, okay, well, we know the X-Men are coming back to Earth, but we don't know how that story is going to wrap up. So this shows that they're back on Earth. Professor X isn't here, but we know he's alive, but he's off on Muir Isle. The New Mutants are not mentioned in this issue, but we know they have to exist because it takes place after the X-Men get back from space. And also, between Uncanny 167 and 168, this has to take place because Kitty was demoted, as she calls it, from the X-Men. And remember when she has all her big hissy fits in the next issue?
Yeah.
Well, when she has her tantrum at the beginning of the issue about her parents' divorce, she is oddly silent that not only is Professor X thrown me out of the X-Men, now my parents are getting a divorce, which you think a 13-year-old, or now 14 because she had a birthday in outer space, when she's having a tantrum, she would have brought up all her woe is me's in one big crybaby fit. That does not come up at all in this issue. She still mentions being an X-Man in this issue, even though technically she's a New Mutant in this issue.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You are a little hard on her. Like, I feel like she was kind of justified in, not wanting to be on the New Mutants.
Justified in the case that she had already done her time on the X-Men, or justified in the case that there was a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 15-year-old on the team, and they were all older than she was. And they weren't pitching fans.
True. Okay, so here we have the first page of X-Men Annual 6, and we start at Bard College with Rachel Van Helsing, who is the
That
long.
name just sings, doesn't it? Rachel Van Helsing.
It really does just sing, and I just thought like I just love Claremont's writing here. It's so fun because she's like preaching about Dracula, and then one of her students asks her about Dracula, and then they chastise him for asking about Dracula, and then she's like, in all honesty, it's all true. My family's been hunting freaking Dracula for years. And then she comes home, and as if on cue, oh shoot.
And how did Dracula get in her home uninvited?
Well, why do okay, I don't have the page that okay.
I mean, I'm guessing vampires had to be invited. Was that a thing in the Marvel Universe?
Yeah, right. I mean, I feel like they did.
Because all the other classic tropes seem to be active when Kitty Pryde was listing them.
Well, see, that's what but he keeps saying that like or that's why like Storm is like enter freely of your own free will or whatever like that. And he keeps saying like, yeah, everyone keeps fighting except for him.
Although technically Storm couldn't invite him in because it wasn't her home, but yeah, whatever.
I know, true that. I don't, there's too many rules here. And I love how you're like saying like Kitty like must have read a lot of Dracula and that's why she knows. Okay,
I mean, she knew a lot.
Okay, so this page is awesome. Okay, so on the left we have Stanley presents Blood Feud. Dracula is once, like you said, uninvited in her house, and he's like, you look so surprised, my dear. Do you truly think I had suffered the final death? Not so. And thanks for leaving the door open. I can't come, I can't come in on it, but uh, and then on the right, I absolutely love this page, and this reminds me of the potential point, and but if not the point, but the way this ties in. We had Kitty like meeting her parents oddly in New York because maybe here's what I think. The parents went to New York for one last
Whenever
ditch.
vampires were around.
It's true. The timing, timing is everything. So they went to New York to reconcile. They got a room at the Waldorf or something like that. And they were like, yeah, no, the thrill is gone. Let's call Kitty
Well,
up.
actually, do you have the next picture called up?
I don't. Which one is it going to be? The
Because I don't even think they told her in person. I think they wrote her a letter.
They wrote
up
her
in a
letter. Oh my God, yes. They wrote a freaking
They
letter.
told their daughter on the machine, Rose, on the machine. Some people will get that.
He broke up in a post-it.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's see. Why should I be? They're not being fair to me. Wait, kitten, this is not the end of the world. Wait, but where is it? It says, I know, I almost gagged when it said that they wrote her up. If it mattered,
they did their best, Kitty.
If it really mattered,
they said in their letter.
If it really mattered, if it really mattered to them, really mattered, wouldn't they have had the decency to tell me in person? Yes, absolutely.
She is right here. But this is where, can you go back to that page for 1 second? Because you'll
Yeah.
like them. I love the waterworks in these panels. They are brilliant.
The waterworks are brilliant.
Kitty's waterwork tears are great.
She is shook, and her hair is so like out of control and bushy. I love it.
I mean, it's like Monica and Barbados.
And the drama in that top panel. Oh my God. Yeah, the waterworks for days. Jesus Lord.
Oh my God. Mercy. It is a thing, but yeah.
I know. And like the look on everyone's face, they're like, Jesus, we've never had an unhinged 13-year-old in the X-Men before. We don't put her on the New Mutants. But calm her down.
Well, this is an excellent point.
Hey.
Her claim was, I am so mature, I should be on the X-Men. Okay, this is who you want on the X-Men defending the Earth?
Yeah, no. I mean,
plus the fact, let's talk about the trafficking that Xavier was doing behind her parents.
oh my God. Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing how we love these as a kid, but when we look at it through current eyes, we're like, oh my God, this is so wrong.
No, I mean, the bitch didn't have a chance. Like, if she didn't wind up with Xavier, she would have been Emma Frost's concubine. So it doesn't matter.
But at least Xavier could have told her parents the truth and kept her at least in the school. He didn't have to make her a superhero.
Oh, well, I mean, the whole thing is shady and suspicious. And
I mean, at least with the New Mutants, as I made a case of my point on, all of the New Mutants, guardians or parents, at least the original, they all knew.
Yeah.
Sam's mother knew he was a mutant, sent him to Xavier. Danielle's grandfather, after he died, left her custody to Professor X. Wolfsbane, Moira MacTaggert knew. Sunspot's father couldn't get rid of him fast enough because he was an embarrassment. And Karma was 19 and an adult raising 2 children.
Let's not forget that Xavier trafficked Jean initially and was full on like out loud in love with her. So I think that he's making progress.
Because he didn't want to date any of his students after.
Right, he's learning. Maybe you shouldn't want to date your students. Maybe you shouldn't be in competition.
After, the brood took over his body and he got the clone body. He evolved a little bit.
Oh, wow. I guess that whole, yeah. And then with Kitty, he realized, maybe you shouldn't just trick people into letting their kids join the X-Men. I don't know.
But don't get me wrong. I always loved Kitty, but looking back at it, it's like certain things just don't carry over as well. But, I do love, she is probably, she's Claremont's first X-Men creation, which I love about her. She is the first X-Men. character.
In Batman's defense, like he put him into a hellacious life of danger. However, his parents were dead, so
His
they did.
parents were dead and Batman was his guardian.
Right,
Xavier was
exactly.
doing this with people who had parents.
Right. This is like Madonna adopting children from Malawi or something.
But we digress. But
But we digress.
yes.
Let's see. Should I go to another page? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
there's a couple good ones in a few pages.
100% loved, like, this was a gag for me when she phases through Storm, just like their
Hmm.
crotches phasing through each other. I love that. I love the
You would
aerial,
think though, remember how Kitty disrupts electrical stuff?
like that a lightning bolt would shoot out of
Wouldn't
Storm's
like
ass or
something, wouldn't
something. Yeah.
Aurora had felt some sort of, because it happened with Magneto when she tried to phase through him.
Well, perhaps Storm isn't always electrical, maybe just when she's using it. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
Fair.
I mean that would have been something if something crazy happened in that moment. And then she's like, and I love her smashing the picture. Like, once again, the drama. Like,
But
this is
in a
what
letter.
I know.
I'm not
And
getting
look at
past
them,
that.
and they look like freaking Ward and June Cleaver sitting
Yeah, and
there.
they look nothing like that in any other issues
You're
we've seen
right, they
before or
don't.
after.
Carmen Pride, that is not you. That
Because
yeah.
he's like got a beard and no, well, he had one later, but anyway, yeah, but that's still not the Carmen Pride we were used to
And
in.
her mother is based on Joe Duffy, and I'm sorry, but that is not Joe Duffy. Thank you very much.
No, that is not. No.
This page, I love this. I don't know.
That top one.
I just really appreciated that. I felt like you were getting a very different, like they were very distinctly drawn, but like, but very different in a lot of ways. Like, yeah, I loved Kitty's hair. It's very like 70s in a way, and just like, I don't know, this girl.
There is Aquanet in that hair. That's all I'm saying.
She has thick, gorgeous hair. But this is, as an artist myself, this is when I'm getting excited about comic book art, when I'm seeing like this color hold on the top, and seeing that you can do like different effects like that with
Hmm.
comic books. I thought it was really cool. And plus, Kitty is full of hate. Professors, like, we should do a montage of Kitty's hate. Like, someone should put it together. Like, I hate you. I hate you both. And then Professor Xavier's a jerk. Like, Kitty is definitely like disturbed for sure. And then she cries herself to sleep hours later.
I don't like this scene only because even though it's cool, but I hate the fact that from the beginning to end, it's all Storm's dream when there's some good Kitty moments in there.
That's what I was going to say reading this, because I remembered almost immediately that it was a dream. And I love how she has this, like, how are you dreaming someone else thinking?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make sense. But once again, your suspension of disbelief, it's beautifully
Yeah.
drawn. I love the way Storm looks. I love this
Hmm.
zipatone on the dress. It's very effective.
Yes, I forgot that term. Yes, you introduced me to that.
And this page is a gag for
Disturbing.
sure.
So
Super
disturbing.
disturbing. So horror. The like dead look in Kitty's eyes in the bottom panel as Storm walks away, like totally unaffected by what she has just done. The bear like mourning the death of Kitty, and the Jack in the Box with the sad face. That is genius. And the way she tosses her aside too. It's
Like a
just,
rag doll. Hmm.
it's very like it reminds me a lot of like Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, like very over the top sort of acting in comics. And I love it. I live for it. I think, it's like they're doing their job. Like, I hate when they're just like standing so stiff in a comic. It's like, these are why our comics are so exciting. This page, once again,
This quartet, like, remember when like Hollywood people and mansions and things we saw in movies we saw in the 80s or 90s. The one I'm thinking of most is Irreconcilable Differences. Shelley Long's character when she buys the mansion that her ex-husband owned, and she has one of these up.
like, it's an Andy Warhol kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes, I love this. Yes, this
Yes,
is
me
great.
100%. I love this. And once again, like showing me what you can do it with an artist, like with the repeat at the panel, but they're
Hmm.
colored differently and horrible. Like, it's almost like the reveals of like a Friday the 13th movie or something, like the slasher reveals, like one by one, she systematically takes down the X-Men, and it's just so beautifully drawn, so haunting, and almost hot in a way. So great. This made me die. And this actually made me think about what when you were talking about Wolfsbane's mid
Transitional.
transformation. That kind of reminds me of that, like her bat form right there, which is so gross.
Which is funny how she never turns into a full bat.
Right.
She's still like Batstorm.
Well, why become a full bat when you can look like that? Like I, like,
Because we have to see the hair, the long cascading flowing.
I know, and which becomes super masculine by the bottom panel. Like it's almost
Oh,
like
absolutely, yeah.
if Max Speedo had become Dracula or
It totally
something.
looks like Magula.
Magula. There you go.
Magnecula.
I just noticed the top panel of Storm's like attic loft, which I always loved. You know, with her plants and like her. I always love like a good scene of her watering her plants in her loft. And there she goes to see Dracula. Now she hungers for love. No words are spoken between them. None are needed. And this is Chris, but this is Chris Claremont at his finest, using restraint here, and like he sort of like he basically told you what he thought when he saw this page. No words are spoken because none are needed. This page says it's all on its own. Yes, boom, chicka, bow, bow. I echo that sentiment. It's pretty hot. What can we say? And I imagine
We've said it.
we've said it. Did I add any more pages? I can add more. I feel like I'm already getting so good at this, Philip. Let's see. Oh no. Well, I guess I shouldn't brag too much. I need to add some more photos. Hold on one second. But so, I mean, in general, is, you know, when we were deciding what book to talk about, what were your initial thoughts? Were you excited to talk about this? And then, but it was,
Yeah, because it's not like, you know, a storyline that you have to I mean, yeah, my first recommendation, while it's a fun story, it would not have been a good starting point because it had too much extra, you know, too many crossovers, and that was Inferno.
oh
So
yeah. I mean,
this
we
is
would
more
be here for a week.
self-contained.
I feel like if when we do Inferno, it's going to definitely have to be a multi-parter.
Oh yeah. And, you know, as long as we both agree, the Silvestri issues